opportunity. It looks like we got a pretty good showing. We're just going to give another minute or two for some additional agencies to join us on this call. We want to make sure that everybody that is represented on that sidebar is here so they can receive the same information. So just another minute or so, and then we'll start this conversation. Okay, good afternoon, everybody. This is, once again, Tammy Stone with the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity. I'm very excited for this opportunity to have you guys on the line with us. It's been a long process. We've been doing a lot of work on the upfront side of this project, and we're really excited now to reach out to the CBOs and start getting our providers on with this particular project. So what we want to do first and foremost is we want to show you a video that has been recorded. This video is actually going to be used by the local DHS offices in their recruitment efforts for the SNAP recipients. So this will be shown to SNAP recipients, but it gives an overview of exactly what the EPIC project is, so the clients will know, what their responsibilities are. So once again, this is something that you're going to have to use your computer to listen to. It does not work through the phone system. Sorry if you can't hear it through the phone system. You're just going to have to kind of sit and wait for us to walk through this video. But please, if you have your computer turned up or your headphones on, that's how you're going to be able to listen to this. So I'm going to mute myself right now. We're going to watch this video, and then once it's over, we'll be back and we'll start the discussion on the grant processing. Thanks.
Okay. One moment, please. We had it uploaded and it was somehow cleared from the list. So let me just get to it very quickly, and we will get it up there for you. Okay. Let me go ahead and
Do you need help with updating your skills to get a job? Are you interested in a career and want to find out more information on how to be trained in that field? Would you like to earn a wage that will allow you to be independent of public assistance? Would you like to have extra money to buy a car or home? If you answered yes to any of these questions, the EPIC program may be able to help you.
The EPIC program stands for Employment Opportunities, personalized services, individualized training, and career planning. EPIC services can include services to help you if you need to bring up your math and reading level, or help if you speak English as a second language. Career and technical education combined with adult education that can help you earn a GED, upgrade your basic skills, or earn a community college basic certificate. Industry recognized credentials that can lead to higher wages or promotions, paid work experience with an employer in your area, support services that help you stay active in the training program, and a career navigator to help you through the whole process. They will help address barriers that could get in the way of your progress.
These services will help you get the training and skills you need to get a high-paying job. And by attending this orientation, you're taking the first step in getting a chance to enroll in the EPIC program.
Today, you'll learn about EPIC job training choices in your area. You'll have a chance to pick job training that's the right fit for you based on your interests and skills. You'll learn about the types of jobs you could get once you've completed training, average wages for those jobs in your area, and related jobs that can lead you to even higher paying jobs. If you find training that is right for you, you can be considered for EPIC training and services. Just follow these steps. First, you'll need to complete an online application. It will ask for information about who you are, the type of training you'd want, your current skill level, your work history, and your educational level. This information will be used to see if there's an appropriate training program in your area that can help you reach your goals.
Second, you will complete the NOCTI 21st Century Skills Assessment. This will provide information about your job readiness needs needed to place you in a training program. If there is an appropriate training program available in your area, the next step is to agree to be a part of the program. You will then meet with your caseworker and go over the terms of being in the study. Then, if you would like a chance to get EPIC training and services, you will sign a document to agree to participate in the EPIC Pilot Program study.
Once you agree to participate, your name will be entered into a computer. The computer will randomly assign you to one of two groups, the EPIC Service Group or the Core Service Group. The next video explains the program and the random assignment process. So for now, let's talk about the groups. If you are placed in the EPIC Service Group, you will be assigned to receive enhanced services at a community-based organization where you will also start your training program.
If you are assigned to the Core Services Group, your case manager will help you with regular SNAP employment and training services. They will also refer you to services available in your community. Either way, your role in the study is very important to the state of Illinois and the nation. The results from the study will impact the design of SNAP employment and training services offered to SNAP recipients in the future. We are very excited to offer the EPIC program in your area. Not everyone gets a chance to be a part of this program, so don't miss your chance. Space is limited. Take time to complete the orientation process so you get a chance to be in the program while it is still available.
Okay, so that is our overview of what we're going to be showing the clients for outreach and recruitment for the EPIC program. We have a lot of information to share. We're just going to give you kind of a high-level view today of where we're at and where we need to go. So one of the first things we're going to share with you is the PowerPoint. Let me make this full screen here. Where we're at with our community-based organizations and where we need to go. Now, this project was originally established. It's a grant, once again, that you guys are familiar with the U.S. Department of Agriculture through the Food and Nutrition Services. Department of Human Services is the lead on this grant, and Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity is partnering with them, and we will be responsible for the grants for you guys, for the community-based organizations. So this slide was actually in the RFA, but just to give you an idea again, there are 7 LWIAs that are targeted in this specific area. for these services. And those numbers that are on the side, we have, this is a study, so it means that we have to have a core group and a treatment group. And the way this program is being designed is DHS will be the intake of this particular program. So they will do the outreach and referral. They will complete the orientation, which is the video that you just viewed. They will complete the consent form and the random assignment through Mathematica, who is our evaluation partner in MDRC that is responsible for the study components of this. So once they are randomly assigned, the treatment individuals will come to the CBOs, and they are going to be referred to you based upon information we've collected from them in the orientation process. So we're doing our very best effort that we align these clients with the appropriate CBOs and the appropriate training programs. So if you're looking at this chart, our minimum goal is 2,500 people that we want to have in the treatment group or the expanded service group. We also have to have another 2,500 that are considered to be the core group. So these are the people that go through the orientation, go through random assignment, but then are randomly selected not to participate in EPIC, which is our rebranded name, and I'll get to that, but to participate and stay in DHS's normal business and normal core services. So one of the things at the top I want to explain that since we're not real familiar yet, and we're going to have probably about a 2 or 3 month test period on the processes, we're not 100% sure exactly how clients are going to flow, that program funds will follow the clients. So when we'll get into that as we go into the negotiations of our grant packages, but I want you to know that the funding will follow the clients. So some of the definitions that you'll just want to be familiar with is EPIC. Now EPIC is the JTED SNAP pilot project. We have rebranded it. A lot of people are saying, what does EPIC stand for? It's kind of long, but it's employment opportunities, personalized services, individual training, and career planning. We had several different options, and this is one with DHS especially that we came up with this. We're hoping that with our experience and what we're doing here that this will be a long-term program. And not just, the life of the study. So we're trying to develop processes while we're doing this for sustainability, and that, potentially this could be rolled into services with DHS with their employment training. Community-based organizations, obviously that's you guys. The participants, they have to be SNAP recipients, and our target population is ABODs. So majority of them will be ABODs, but not all. We can serve other populations. And we're not going to get into much of this, but each area has specific requirements, whether they're voluntary or mandatory. And as we're moving along in this process, we'll be going through more of those operational aspects of it. The core service group is those that go through random assignment, but they are put in the core group, and it's business as usual, so they go back to IDES or IDHS for regular core services. And then the expanded service group or the treatment group is who will be coming to your organizations for training. EPIC sustainability, or suitability, I'm sorry about that, is what we're going to be going through in the orientation process. So with this orientation, like I said, we're completing an application with our clients. We're asking some pretty critical questions of them. They've completed the NOTSCI 21st Century assessment test. And then we're going to have a review team that's going to be taking a look at the information provided for making the appropriate fit to the organizations. So when you guys completed your applications, one of the things that we requested from you was the minimum requirements to go into the specific training program, and we also wanted to know if you had bridge programs, and that's very critical for this population. And I'm glad to say that the representation we have on here today, a lot of you have the bridge programs, you have adult basic education, and then the higher industry recognized credentials. So we have a really good career pathway here. But there's going to be a suitability that's done prior to these individuals coming to you, and to align the clients to the best of our ability with the right providers. Once again, business as usual is just relating to DHS, and once the clients are referred to you to the CBOs are providers of employment and training services through DHS. So not only are we going to be providing you with a procedures manual for this specific program, but then we'll also be providing you the employment and training services manual related to being a provider of employment and training services through DHS and the specific requirements that go along with that. An example is that they have to be engaged at least 80 hours a month. And like I said, there's some nuances with this too depending upon location. But we're not going to get into that in real depth. I just want to give you a broad overview of some of the obligations. Illinois WorkNet is going to be our provider for collecting client data. All of our communication, webinars, all of our IT needs will be met through Illinois WorkNet. And then Mathematica is our lead agency for the evaluation team. And that's who's been working with us for months on the program design, implementation. Specifically, a lot of our work has been on the front end of this and working with DHS on the orientation process and how to do random assignment, and to make sure that in random assignment that the core group is not being influenced in any ways on services other than what they would normally get when they go through DHS. And then once again, random assignment, basically it's a flip of a coin. We're going to have over 5,000 people coming in. 2,500 are going to be assigned to the EPIC program, and then 2,500 or more will be assigned to the core group. Okay, so key elements, and like I said, we're doing a broad level of this, so I just want to give you some high-level information regarding the program. You need to have a strong employer engagement. Sorry, my slide is not shifting here too well, but strong employer engagements. Part of the reason you guys were selected is because of your employer relationships, and we need to make sure that we have employers at the end of this, and we're aligning the skills that we're providing and the training we're providing with the demand of the employers. Eligibility criteria. This is I'm sorry, my one part isn't going away. So part of the eligibility criteria, like I said, what we had asked for was your minimal barriers or minimal requirements to go into the program. So once we walk through this orientation process and assign a client to your organization, they are going to be in the treatment group. Once in the treatment group, always in the treatment group. So once they are assigned to you, they have to be automatically accepted into the program. There will be some nuances, where somebody, for some reason just isn't a good match, and we have processes that we're building up for realigning clients based upon that. But once in a treatment group, always in the treatment group, we need to make sure that we're serving these individuals and providing them opportunity to get mid-skill level jobs. They must participate in the EPIC pilot evaluation. So you must also participate in the EPIC pilot evaluation that is being completed by Mathematica and NDRC. This is very important study on their part. So they are going to want to come out into the field, and they're going to want to take a look at your processes. They're going to want to interview clients. They're going to want to interview your staff, and so participation in the pilot project is important. And then once again, must provide employment-related service to program participants, even if the participant decides in the future that they're not interested in that target industry. So once they're referred to you, and say you start them in a manufacturing career pathway, and they decide that's not necessarily for us, you have to at least provide them with employment and training services to get them placed in an employment-related or in a job, and it could be unrelated to the training. So that's a responsibility that'll be on with you guys too. And once again, have capacity to leverage other funding sources for supportive services. There's, like I said, once again, a few nuances if a client becomes ineligible for SNAP benefits that we want to make sure that we're covering our CBOs on. So there needs to be some capacity for leveraging other sources. And then this deals specifically with Cook County. In the other regions, we have one provider, and in one region we'll have two. But for Cook County, we're going to have, at this point, we're negotiating with 15 organizations to provide services for this opportunity. So one of the things that we're going to want to make sure is that you guys know each other really well, who's doing what programs. And if you would be assigned a client that isn't lining up well with your training program, that there's opportunity to realign them maybe with another CBO. And then you must also comply with DHS SNAP employment and training program requirements as applicable. applicable. And like I said, we're going high level here. We'll be getting into a lot more detail as we progress, but we just want to give you some of the key factors and elements. Once again, you're to be providing career pathway opportunities for the SNAP recipients that are referred to you from the DHS office. We have all of this information in your application, and as I get into the forms that we're going to be completing to negotiate the grant agreements, we've got the information, but we want to make sure that we're developing large career pathways and consistent career pathways for the different sectors, and that we're just not stopping them at like a minimal wage job, that they have opportunity to move up a career pathway with this training program or aligning them with other opportunities so that they can get to those mid-skill level jobs. You have to have immediate engagement enrollment once they come to your agency. There are requirements for ABODs that are mandatory ABODs, that they have at least 80 hours a week, or a month, 20 hours a week of engagement. And so you have to have immediate engagement and outreach with these clients. And we're setting up processes for communication of this, so that we'll get into as we get down the road too. Once again, meeting the specific skill needs of the employers in the sectors. Demand-driven training is what we're looking for in this. And that's, like I said, a lot of the reasons we selected you guys is because you guys are offering this. Addressing the skill deficiencies of the SNAP participants. There's going to be several deficiencies with skills and also supportive services that they're going to need in related to this particular opportunity. And then you're going to want to have a career plan. And through WorkNet, they're establishing it's an I-STEP, which is a career plan, which is going to be accessible to your organizations. It doesn't have to supersede if you've got something established at this time, but this is something that we're going to be implementing with this grant too, to make sure that everybody that comes to the agencies has a career and development plan. Now I'm just going to have this up for a minute. This is just our program model design. So of course we've got the 3 models. We're working with ICCB to make sure that we're categorizing training components in the appropriate models. So like the Model 1 is the bridge programs, the Model 2 is education, adult education and career and technical education, and then your Model 3 is your higher level industry credentials. And like I said, for all of our grantees across the board, one of the things that the evaluation team is very interested in is the models and what's happening in all of the models. So we are working with ICCB on this for categorization and making sure that we're consistent with how we're categorizing services. So this is just kind of an overview of what the program design is looking like. One of the things we'll potentially be working with you guys in the future too is developing some career lattices for specific sectors to build this out even further. And like I said, we just don't want to stop at like a minimum wage job. We want to make sure that we're developing career lattices for these individuals so they can reach that mid-level skill opportunities. And the intent of this is to remove them off public assistance. Part of the program requirements, and one of the very first ones we'll be dealing with here soon, is pre-award survey. With the new requirements under the Unified Administrative Guidelines, everybody has to have a pre-awards. And most of this will probably be done like through a desk audit with our fiscal office. There may have to be some site visits along with that too, but before we can issue a grant, there will have to be a pre-awards completed. And other requirements, obviously, you're going to have to comply with federal and state laws, including DHS SNAP employment training policies, your fiscal requirements, reporting requirements, monitoring, and then obviously the evaluation teams reporting, monitoring, and technical assistance that they're going to help provide too. A lot of you are familiar with our requirements as far as reporting and monitoring if you've had grants with the DCO, Department of Commerce, I should say, in the past. And then we're going to be providing ongoing support. We're going to have some survey questions come up here towards the end, but we're going to have weekly calls with the CBOs, starting off for probably the first, couple months to make sure that we are all on the same page, that we're progressing, to make sure there's no problems. Those calls could be webinars, and we'll provide technical assistance on those calls and additional information and policies and procedures on those specific calls. And then we'll be doing some in-person meetings also, and I'm hoping that we can schedule the first one potentially in the middle of March, and we have a questionnaire that's going to come up on that. And hopefully we can do those, anticipating maybe quarterly. And we may look at doing those, the first one having all providers, and then after that breaking it into the regions. So we have the Chicago providers, at a meeting, and then the southern providers can participate in a meeting down south, because they do have some different requirements. So that is for the PowerPoint presentation. And Natasha, I may have you help me get back to, let's see here.
What would you like to do?
Well, not that. Okay, could we put up, let's see, the Excel file of the grants, and I have a feeling I may have totally.
Just share your computer screen. You want to do that?
Do you still see my screen still?
Nope. Here, like in the center of the webinar.
I actually think I may have exited the webinar. So let me hop back on here real quick. This is a problem when I don't use my own computer. Natasha, would you mind, while I get back into the webinar, would you mind going ahead and jumping to the Illinois WorkNet components and what they need to establish with that? Perfect, thanks.
I will share my screen. Okay, so one of the things that we need to do is to, the EPIC implementation tools will be available in Illinois WorkNet. And so one of the things that we need to do is to make sure that we give you access to those tools. And in order to do that, we need to have you make sure that you're, number one, identified as an Illinois WorkNet partner. And then once we have you identified as an Illinois WorkNet partner, then we can, then you'll have the people that need to have access to the partner tools. We need to know who those people are, and then we can make those people workforce partners and give you access to the EPIC tools. So one of the things that I want to draw your attention to is the EPIC Pilot Program Partner Guide. And so the way you can get to this is you can just go to illinoisworknet.com or illinoisworknet.com/partners, and you'll see that we're in Maine, the big Illinois WorkNet, and at the bottom, this is just one way to get to it, in the bottom in the footer you can click the partner resources, and then you can go to the EPIC program. Okay, so these are your partner tools, and this is where we will have the full list of resources as they're being developed. We're still in development of the tools, as well as in the testing phase, as well as in writing instructions and testing those instructions. So you'll be able to see those in the full list of resources. So you'll see that grow. You will also see that today's archived webinar will be located in the archived webinar part. Today we will also put the archived webinar plus the meeting materials that Tammy was using, and also additional instructions for becoming an EPIC partner. Those will be available through this page as well. As we move forward, we will be adding like how-to tutorials, just those short snippets on how to use the iStep, how to assign, how to add progress, that type of thing. So we will have those tutorials. We will also be starting to fill in our EPIC calendar. So you can go ahead and it's kind of like one-stop shopping for all your EPIC needs. So one of the things, let me just go ahead and show you where it is, the full list of resources. says Add Epic Partner Sites to the Service Locator. You'll have the instructions that tell you how to access the Service Locator and what all the pieces and parts that are identified within the Service Locator, what that means. So let me just go ahead and show you where you find that. So what I would do, let me go back to Big WorkNet, the main site. So go to lmyworknet.com, and you'll see under Network and Connect, there's our LMyWorkNet Services Locator. So I believe most of you, there's only a handful of you that are not already in our Service Finder. So let's just go to, you can search by keyword, you can search by zip code to see if your location is available in LMyWorkNet. And so you can go to the location, then you can view the services, take a look at the information for that location and make sure everything is correct. And if it's not correct, take this opportunity to correct it so you can edit the location. If you're a primary contact, I'm not logged in. Let me go ahead and log in. If you're a primary contact for this location, then you can go ahead and update it. Okay. So again, Network Connector, or Network and Connect, LMyWorkNet Service Locator. You'll see your organizations, review them, and update as needed, or add a new site. So then after that, what we'll need, and we'll provide follow-up instructions, is I would like to have one email per organization so that you can identify the people who need to have access to the partner tools, and you'll send that to info@lmyworknet.com, and that will give us a listing of the people that have LMyWorkNet accounts that need to be made partners and given access to DEI. One important piece that I did not just mention is that, let me log out. If you don't already have an LMyWorkNet account, then all you do is you go to lmyworknet.com, click sign up, and complete the form, and that's all you have to do as far as creating an LMyWorkNet account, and then we'll use that email to find you in the system, make you a partner, and give you access to the DEI tools. Okay?
Thank you, Natasha.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to access some files here.
Do you want me to open up the
Yeah, because
files
I'm
on
having difficulty with sharing this screen on this computer. Okay. So if you don't mind, go ahead and open up the Excel spreadsheet. And then, so what we're going to end up doing is you guys are going to be getting, before the end of this week, an email from us. The first thing is the grant negotiation. It's an Excel spreadsheet. What we're going to have in this is information from your application. So on this first page, it's going to be pre-populated based upon your program names. This is just some examples that's in here. Your training model, the training providers, credentials, the occupation, and then, yeah, go ahead and just slide over. Your employer partners, existing wage rate that you documented for these occupations in your application, and then your requested funds and the average cost. So all of this information will be on this for you based upon your applications. What we want you to do is take a look at this, verify it. One of the things that I want you to double check on is credentials. Make sure that the credentials are accurate. We also want you to double check on your employers and make sure those are employer relationships that are established, that you're going to be able to use for your work experience or placement. The training model is based upon the 3 different models, and like I said, that'll be all pre-populated. We are going to be working with ICCB to make sure we're very consistent in how we're coding, training and information and credentials in those specific models. So that first page will be pre-populated for you. You just need to look at the information and verify it. And if you need to add more detail, then add more detail in those specific areas. Now, Natasha, if you can go to the second page, which is performance and evaluation. This is a performance-based opportunity. We developed it off of JTED. The way it's going to be calculated is going to be different than how JTED was set up, though, originally, because with JTED, you guys did the intake for this program, and you brought them in. With this particular program, we're not sure where these clients are going to be referred to initially. And you guys are telling us your capacity. You've told us in your application, this is our capacity to serve. This is a number that we can serve, and this is the amount of money that we need to serve these individuals. But we don't know what you're going to get because it's going to be referred to you from DHS. So we're basing our basis for performance is on the average cost per participants. So we're doing it. It's going to be 20% for enrollment, 30% for completing training, 30% for employment, and 20% for retention is going to be the attributed earnings for this particular program. This will be pre-populated for you too when you get it based upon what you had put in your application. Now we're going to be going through negotiations, so we may end up, changing the amount that you were looking at originally or the number served, but this is all the information that you guys need to start taking a look at, and we're going to be working with you to determine what our final numbers are going to be. The implementation schedule. Now, this implementation schedule, what you're going to tell us is your specific training programs that you're offering. How many cohorts do you anticipate that you're going to offer? And based upon the model structure, how many hours per week and how many weeks will they be participating in these specific models? And then work experience. I think we have all but maybe 3 organizations that are going to offer work experience. Work experience, how many hours you anticipate they'll be completing work experience and for how many weeks? So this gives us a pretty good idea of the term of training. And also one of the things that we'll need for this is regarding the requirements for ABODs, mandatory ABODs, that they're participating in services for at least 80 hours a month, around 20 hours a week. So this gives us a pretty decent layout, of what it's going to look like and the number of hours per training program for each of the different training modules. The next one is your budget. Now, the budget, we do have this in your application, but I do want you to revisit this and re-enter the information on the budget for each of these line items. Something that we've also added in this budget is any leverage funds that you're going to be using from other federal resources and any leverage funds that you're going to be using from potentially state or private resources. Our FNS liaison on the federal level is very interested in the state of Illinois accessing what's called matching funds for training. And so we are building into the system the capacity to track any matching funds so that maybe in the future that would be an opportunity for sustainability with this project too. So give us an idea of what you're anticipating you will have the opportunity to match these funds with on that. And then the last page, the budget narrative, is just basically the narrative. So you're going to give us the information and more detail on each of the line items for this particular opportunity. And this is what was in the RFA also. We could populate, but I want you to revisit this because if your budget ideas may change a little bit. Your service numbers may change a little bit during our negotiations. So this is the tool that's going to be used to fill out our scope of work that will go in the grant agreement for this opportunity. So we're finished with that. Now, by the end of this week, we're going to be having this document out to you guys, along with another document with just some general questions that were raised by management from both DHS and Department of Commerce. So expect an email from me. I'm anticipating hopefully no later than Friday with the Excel document and also a document with just additional questions that we would like for you guys to respond to. Now, basically, our next steps are we need to sit down and negotiate what these grants are going to look like. What we are going to be doing with these grants is if you come in, say, for $500,000, we're going to initiate these grants at 50%. And then the reason we're doing this is, once again, we're not sure on the referral process, how many clients you're going to be, getting into your specific organization. So the money is actually going to follow the clients. So we want to start the grants at 50%, and then as this project continues to go, and we're going to put the money where the clients are going. So we want to be able to add money to your grants and not necessarily take money away. So that's why our initial grant opportunity will be set up at 50% of what you're requesting. And then as we get into this project and start rolling and providing services, then we can modify those grants up based upon your total grant request. So I wanted to make you aware of that this is a process that we're going to be using for this. Now, as far as timelines are concerned, we need to get this up and running. Like I said, we've been spending a lot of our time on the front end of this, and we're finally able to get to you guys, and we're going to be spending a lot of time with you guys, from here in the future, because this is the very key component of this is on the employment training side. So with these grants, we want to try to get them initiated by the 1st of March if possible. That might be a stretch for all of them, but that is our goal. We have the evaluation team that's coming in to train the DHS staff on random assignment at the end of February. And we're going to be starting the orientations and random assignment probably, the first orientations will be the first part of March. So once we start the orientations and start the random assignment, then clients are going to be assigned to organizations. So by March, we need to have the capacity to start accepting clients. And like I said, once again, I don't know if you're going to get, maybe 5 at a time, 3 at a time, 15 at a time. This first 3 months with this specific project is going to be a test period, and we're going to be realigning processes and procedures and working with you guys, too, and you guys letting us know what's working and what's not working. The reason that you haven't been interjected in the front part of this, first of all, we had to make our selections, and second, the random assignment component has to be removed from the service side of it. So our evaluation team wanted a very clear distinction of when the random assignment happened and where services started to happen. So in the real world and in the future, there would be more connectivity between you providers and the actual DHS staff, and doing this. But now that we've got the providers, selected, we are going to be having meetings where we're going to have the CBOs together also with the case managers, because we want the case managers to have a very good idea of the services that you guys are offering too. So when they are working with individuals and when we are doing this assignment, that they have insight of what's available and where these clients are going. So with that said, I think we've pretty much covered everything that I wanted to cover with this first initial call. Natasha, if you can put up, the questions. The next steps is going to be, you'll be receiving the email from us with the information that's going to be required to start establishing grants. Start working with your team, start getting your program together. We're going to have a call next Wednesday at 3 o'clock again, and this call is going to be to help you guys establish your training programs in WorkNet. And then we're going to be dealing with other topics, grant-related topics that are coming up during this week. So if there's any specific concerns or issues that you guys are having, then we will deal with that on the webinar next Wednesday. But what we want to do with this polling question is we're looking at doing every Wednesday at 3 o'clock for the next, as long as we need them, calls. So that's, and I see it looks like this is a good time for a lot of you. This will be our scheduled time for webinars and technical assistance and to share information related to this specific project. And then, like I said, we wanted to make sure when we schedule an in-person meeting, just what day of the week is best for you. It looks like a mix between, Wednesday and Friday. We want to be able to accommodate, obviously, everybody that we can accommodate with these specific meetings. So with that said, there's a lot of information that is going to need to be shared with you guys. I'm looking at questions now. Will the effective day of the award be February 1st? The RFA that we produced, the grant term was January 1 of this year to December 31st of 2017. and we'll more than likely stick with that term that was issued in the request for applications. We are getting a little bit of a late start with this also, and we realize that, so there may be some opportunity on the back end of this grant, especially for employment and retention for extensions on that side of it, because I know, the training programs, all of them have, longer and shorter durations of time, and we want to make sure that we're giving you guys plenty of time to accomplish your goals with this. So, yeah. Where would travel costs for the person meeting be accounted for in the budget? Those particular costs would go into the career navigation responsibilities in the budget. We'll have to verify that with our fiscal office, but that's my anticipation that under the career navigation, that's all of the responsibilities that you have for working with these clients. And let me see what other we have. Will the agencies be awarded 50% of the proposed budget, or is there an award amount we will receive from DCO which is divided into half? The agencies will receive 50% of your negotiated total budget. So, like I said, we're in the process of negotiating these budgets too. So, 50% you will receive 50% of that total. But now, that doesn't necessarily mean you're getting all of that money up front. What we're going to do is work with you guys to determine in our contract what we have with Department of Human Services is the capacity to pay you guys up front for startup costs and 1 month of production. So, and then after that, then it's going to be on a reimbursement basis. So one of the Wednesdays, actually not next Wednesday, but the next Wednesday after, one of the things I think we're going to have on our agenda is training so you can access what's called our GRS system. So you're going to be able to report costs and report cash in that system. And so you will request cash and put your costs in there as needed, but it will be on a reimbursement system once we get up and running. Let's see. Okay, when do you expect customers will begin being referred to CBOs for the program? We anticipate the first part of March. And like I said, once again, we're really putting you guys under a crunch on this, and I realize that. When you're dealing with ABODs that are mandatory, there are certain requirements, related to them, and part of that is engagement and the minimum work hour or the minimum hours of engagement, and that is 20 hours a week, 80 hours a month, and that engagement can include, the work experience, and it can include your academic training, it can include the bridge program, it can include work readiness activities. So there's multiple ways of engaging these individuals and making sure that they're also meeting their hours if, for example, you can't enroll them in a training program right when they're referred to you. And that kind of information we'll be getting into more as we get along with this and the additional sessions that we're going to be having. Will participants be referred on an ongoing basis, or can programs follow a cohort model? And once again, my last response kind of deals with that. Once they're referred to you, like I said, there's caveats to some of this too, because with DHS, we have what's called ABODs that are mandatory and those that are voluntary, and there are different rules that apply. And so we will have to work with each of you individually as far as what employment and training rules apply in what specific areas. But once they're referred to you, we do want engagement right away. You may have to wait to enroll them in a cohort, but there's other activities that you could be working with them. There could be some barrier alleviation that you're looking at. Like I said, there could be work readiness activities. There could be, resume building. There could be a lot of different activities. There's work experience, that you can put them in a work experience opportunity right out of the bat too. So, but yes, if you have to enroll them in cohorts, that is something that, you would have to engage them in other activities until the cohort has started. Will there be a specific application package for CBOs? I'm not sure exactly what you mean by that, but we are going to have a procedures manual And it will be out to you hopefully by the first part of March 2 when we get started. It's still in progress. It's going to include procedures related to this grant along with requirements, on the DHS side with the employment training requirements. And part of that is we do have some grantees that are currently DHS employment and training providers, and I'm sure you're very familiar with the requirements. Some of that is a specific form that's required once a month on engagement. So, like I said, once the clients are referred to you, you are one of their providers, and we still have to follow their specific guidelines and what's required for this client to stay active and eligible in SNAP. Our payments based on cost reimbursement or benchmarks. The cost, it's based upon cost reimbursement, but you have to really keep in line your benchmarks with your cost reimbursement. So this is a pilot project, and it is going to be tricky because you guys aren't in control of the upfront recruitment process of this, and we're quite aware of that. So we're going to be working with you guys. It will be based upon costs, but you don't want to get your costs and your performance too terribly far out of line. So that's something that we will definitely be working with you guys on too. Is it possible to increase admin costs more than 5%? No, that is what is in our grant agreement. And then future questions. We will have a place in WorkNet, and Natasha can send out a link to that to everyone for posting questions. So we will have a link out there to ask questions, and then any questions that we're getting during these webinars, we're recording, and then we're also going to put it in our FAQ in WorkNet. So any questions that you need to post, please go there. Or you can always call me direct also. Okay, let's give a few more minutes for additional questions. We will be reaching out to you individually to negotiate these contracts. We want to get this on the fast track. We have to get this on the fast track. So let me see if I got any others. When is a budget modification due? These forms will be due, the intention is to get them out to you by next Friday, this Friday. You guys, if you wouldn't mind just throwing in how long you anticipate needing to determine your cost and service numbers. I was hoping within a week, within the following Friday, if we can get the documents back, that would be great. But I want to make sure we're giving you guys plenty of time to really absorb this and be thoughtful on your plan for this. So why don't we plan on a week from Friday to have those back, unless I have a lot of resistance to that, I guess. Okay, if there's no more questions, this recaps what we need right now. We will be talking with you guys on next Wednesday, and I will be communicating with you guys in between now and Wednesday to get the grant negotiation process started. So I'm really excited. This is big. This is going to be a lot of work, but it's a great opportunity. It's a huge disruption, I know, in business in the way that SNAP employment training has worked in the past. But hopefully the intent of this is to shake things up a little bit and come up with some processes and new thought processes to help these individuals to sustainability and mid-skilled jobs. So I'm really excited. You guys are a very important factor in this, and it's going to be fun. Thanks so much, guys. Have a great day.